How educators can beat imposter syndrome. Welcome to the School of Self-Worth Live, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sam Osborne, the Self-Worth Guy. Today is episode 150. My goodness, who thought we would have got there? Today, we're going to talk about how educators can beat imposter syndrome, and education is my number one value. And so I love talking about education because I love learning things and I love teaching people stuff. And before we go any further, I want to tell you that I've got a free gift for you. It's called Crush Imposter Syndrome Forever, the starter kit for bulletproof confidence. And you can get it at samosborne.com/starter kit. Now, there's one thing I want you to remember from today's episode, and that is make your students feel expected. If you make your students feel expected, your confidence is going to go up. You're going to make a great culture within the classroom or wherever you're teaching, and you're definitely going to be able to make your students feel like they're a bit special. So that's the main message I want you to remember from today, is that make them feel expected. And I'm going to talk about three things right now. I'm going to talk about memorizing your students' names. I'm going to talk about admitting when you are wrong or don't know everything. And number three is to value your students' voice. Let's go through those three things. So the first thing is a really practical thing to help you to reduce imposter syndrome, and that is the fear that some part of you is going to be exposed for being a fake and a fraud regarding usually your intelligence or your competence or even the role that you play. So if you're a new teacher, or maybe you're an experienced teacher and you still feel like an imposter, the first thing I want you to do, and this has helped me so much in my decade-long career of being an educator, is that the first thing you want to do is memorize your students' names. And that should take you, if let's say you got 30 kids in each class and you're a high school teacher and you got 5 classes, that might take you about a week to memorize all of those names. And there's really some great practical ways you can do this. Number one, I like to call it greet and seat. That means you meet them at the door, you shake their hand, whatever it is, you say good morning, and you try to practice or saying their name. And that you do that at the start of class and the end of class, during the class, as many as times you can. That is going to build a great relationship between the two of you and between the whole class. It's going to create a great culture because people like to hear their name. It shows that you care about them. It shows that you care enough to remember their name. And so many students have, I've heard said, oh, my teacher doesn't even know my name. So just doing that one thing is going to help build a beautiful culture in the classroom. But it also does this other beautiful thing where if you feel like an imposter when you're standing up in front of your students, whether you're elementary, because I did that for a little while, whether you're middle school, high school, college, adults, which is what I'm also doing at the moment, if you know the person's name, it removes all of the BS about you feeling like you need to be the expert all the frickin' time, and that you can actually just be a person for a change. And you can say their name and you can have a conversation. Just starting with knowing people's names is a great confidence builder, both for you, and it also helps the person to feel like they are valued and they want to contribute to the class. And that's going to create a really good learning environment. Let's go to, so that's greet and seat. Memorize your students' names. Number 2 is admit when you are wrong. Oh my goodness. There is this old saying that teachers know everything, but that's freaking impossible, right? So admit when you're wrong. Admit that you don't know the answer to a question that your student knows. I remember being asked by students a question and then sitting there going, oh shit, I don't know the answer. What am I going to say? And there's this long dead air phase. And I just learned over time, if you don't know the answer, just say, you know what, I don't know the answer, but we've got this beautiful technology around us in Google. Why don't we look it up and teach them to be resourceful? Teach them how to respond when they don't know the answer. Be the example of an adult who's humble and says, you know what, I don't know the answer, but let's try and find it out together. Encourage collaboration. So that is going to help you to reduce imposter syndrome too. Admitting that you don't know all the answers and admit when you're wrong. And that's going to help create a beautiful relationship as well, because no student wants a teacher who's fake. All right. And you don't want to, be exposed for being a fake or not knowing your stuff or not knowing everything there is to know about your topic. So just be human. All right. So admit when you are wrong. The third thing I want to talk about is valuing their voice. I think this is probably one of the most powerful things you can do as a teacher. Another way of saying this is make it about them. Give them some airtime. Don't just lecture to your students. But this is what I do at the beginning of all my classes is I say, all right, I'm going to ask every single person in the class to tell me one thing they can remember from the last class. And you can look at your notes, you can cheat, you can talk to the person next to you if you get stuck, or you can just say, I pass. No problem. There's no disgrace. But I try to teach them the value of reviewing or remembering, because memory, most people say I suck at remembering names or my memory's shot to shit, but you help them to remember. You teach them about their brain, and it can open up a conversation about memory, and it also gives them the floor. That's a great thing. You want to encourage your students' personalities to come out. And if you can do that every single day, just at the beginning with a review, what's one thing you remember from last time? Or do you remember a joke that someone said, or something that was not even regarding what we learned? Because the whole idea of the reviewing is to get everyone in the mode, to build a relationship, to let them know that it's okay to be their authentic self. And this is going to help you to be your authentic self, reduce imposter syndrome. All right. Value their voice. All right. So today I've talked about three things. The main concept is make your students feel expected. Make them feel like you are waiting for them. I've got this beautiful idea. Well, it's not mine. It's definitely not mine. I can't even remember where it was from. Dr. John DeMartini talks about a teacher somewhere in America, probably somewhere in Houston or something. And she has a philosophy that says, my students, or she believes her students are reincarnated geniuses, and it's her job to remind them of that. And I think that's on his speed reading and learning dynamics audio program. Fascinating. But this teacher has other teachers from around the world come and watch her class because she's so good at it. And she says, that's my number one philosophy, is that I expect them to be a genius. And I think that's a beautiful thing, and I've taken that on myself. So the three things we've talked about today is to memorize your students' names, to admit when you're wrong, and to value their voice. And those three things are going to help you to reduce imposter syndrome as an educator. And they've certainly helped me in my career as being an educator. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you do, I've got a free gift for you. It's called Crush Imposter Syndrome Forever, the starter kit for bulletproof confidence. And you can get it at samosborne.com/starter kit. And I've got a new book coming out called How to Beat Imposter Syndrome and Be Confident, the 30-Day Challenge Workbook. That's going to be ready in about a month. I'm working on it right now. And if there's one thing I want educators to remember from today's video, it is make your students feel expected. And that's going to help you to reduce imposter syndrome. Bye.